รายการต่อไปนี้เป็นรายการทั่วไปสามารถรับชมได้ทุกวัย
สนับสนุนโดยแลกเงินด้วยบัตรเครดิตกสิกรไทยเที่ยวก่อนจ่ายทีหลังไม่มีค่าธรรมเนียมผ่อนชำระได้จากธนาคารกสิกรไทย
สวัสดีค่ะปัญหาการล่าสัตว์ป่าอย่างโหดร้ายทารุณเพื่อการค้าเป็นปัญหาที่มีกันมาอย่างยาวนานและทุกวันนี้ตัวเลขหรือว่าจำนวนของสัตว์ป่าก็ลดลงอย่างน่าใจหายน่าตกใจนะคะว่าวันหนึ่งสัตว์ป่าที่เราคุ้นเคยอย่างช้างเสือหรือว่าแรดอาจจะสูญพันธุ์ก็ได้วันนี้เราจะไปพูดคุยกับคุณปีเตอร์ไนท์ผู้ก่อตั้งองค์กร WildAid ซึ่งเป็นองค์กรไม่หวังผลกำไรที่ต่อสู้รณรงค์ให้ยุติการค้าสัตว์ป่าที่ผิดกฎหมายเป็นองค์กรที่ได้รับการสนับสนุนจากคนดังมากมายทั่วโลกไปฟังกันนะคะว่าสถานการณ์การค้าสัตว์ป่าทุกวันนี้เลวร้ายขนาดไหนและแนวคิดของ WildAid ที่ว่าหยุดซื้อคือหยุดฆ่าจะช่วยเหลือสัตว์ป่าเหล่านี้ได้อย่างไรค่ะWildAid เป็นองค์กรไม่แสวงหาผลกำไรที่มีสำนักงานใหญ่อยู่ที่ซานฟรานซิสโกสหรัฐอเมริกามีเป้าหมายหลักเพื่อยุติการค้าสัตว์ป่าและผลิตภัณฑ์จากสัตว์ป่าผิดกฎหมายโดยเป็นองค์กรที่เน้นการใช้วิธีรณรงค์เพื่อลดการบริโภคและความต้องการซื้อผลิตภัณฑ์อย่างงาช้างนอแรดหรือหูฉลามเป็นต้น WildAid ทำงานรณรงค์ที่เอเชียเป็นหลักโดยเฉพาะที่จีนฮ่องกงเวียดนามและไทยซึ่งมีความต้องการสูงเพราะมีความเชื่อว่าอวัยวะของสัตว์ต่างๆมีสรรพคุณพิเศษทางยาหรือบางครั้งก็เพียงเพื่อเอามาเป็นเครื่องประดับสวยงามเท่านั้น WildAid ทำงานร่วมกับบุคคลที่มีชื่อเสียงระดับโลกในสาขาต่างๆมากมายและใช้สื่อโฆษณาเป็นอาวุธในการรณรงค์ให้ผู้คนตระหนักถึงปัญหาการฆ่าและค้าสัตว์ป่าผิดกฎหมายปีเตอร์ไนท์ผู้ก่อตั้งองค์กร WildAid เป็นผู้ที่คลุกคลีอยู่ในแวดวงรณรงค์ต่อต้านการค้าสัตว์ป่ามายาวนานเขาดำรงตำแหน่งผู้อำนวยการบริหารของ WildAid ตั้งแต่เริ่มก่อตั้งในปี 2000 จนถึงปัจจุบัน
Peter, why are you interested in wildlife?
I think I've always loved animals, and I've had the opportunity to go to some places like Africa.where they just have the most amazing animals, and I think we're very privileged to share this planet with these animals, and if we lose them it's going to be an absolute disaster.
What are the animals most at risk of extinction today?
My biggest concern right now is the rhinos. This guy behind us here, they have been hit really hard. There's only 30,000 in the entire world.And that's 5 species of rhino. And some of the rhinos, like the Javan rhino, is down to 50 individuals. There's a species called the northern white rhino. There's only 3 left in the world.
3?
3.
And where are they?
They're all in Kenya, and they're all unfortunately quite old. And so this is a northern white rhino, and it looks like we may lose that subspecies sometime very
soon.We have always been worried about rhinos for like 10, 20, 30 years since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So there have been no improvements at all over the years?
Well, actually there was a major improvement. In 1993, up to 1993, the rhino graph went like this, and it looked like the black rhino might go extinct in maybe 1996, 1997. And then we were involved in a big campaign around Asia because the primary markets were Taiwan and China.And there was a big education campaign. The Chinese government banned rhino horn in traditional medicine. And since 1993, the numbers started to go back up again. Unfortunately, with the economic boom in China and Vietnam, which at that time wasn't a market at all, has now emerged as a market, and the poaching started again. So, it's very lucrative. In Vietnam, someone spread a rumor that rhino horn could cure cancer.Which is crazy because it's basically like your fingernail, it's keratin. But that rumor went out there and suddenly people wanted rhino horn again. So runners were doing better, the numbers were going up. And in fact, if we can stop the poaching, we can really make the numbers go up because the white rhino is down to 50 individuals. In the 1950s, there's now 20,000. So it's totally possible to put them back. There's plenty of space for them. It's just the poaching for their horn.
For rhinos, if we cut the horns, they will die.
No, you can cut the horns off. The trouble is that you can't cut all the horn off, so there's still some left. It's very much like a fingernail. So if you take the top of your fingernail off, you've still got a lot of it in there, and people will still poach for the rest of it. So cutting the horns off doesn't protect them from poaching.
What about elephants and tigers? We have always been worried about them as well.
We just had some good news about the tiger. The tiger, good news. The good news is they've got slightly better. The bad news is there's still only 3,800 tigers in the wild in the world, which is a tiny, tiny number. If people say 1,000, it seems big, but I say, well, imagine if there were 3,000 human beings, it would be one tiny little village, and that's it. And the elephants, again, we had this thing in the 1970s and 80s where the ivory trade was halved the elephant population of Africa. It went from 1.5 million to about 750,000. Then they stopped the trade, they banned the trade, and it started to go back up again. But then they decided to re-legalize the trade, and then the poaching's gone back up again now. So the last figures we had were about 33,000 elephants being poached, African elephants being poached a year.
What is the demand for wildlife products in Asia today?
It's definitely higher than most other regions because most regions do not have this sort of tradition of consuming these products, So what you find is a lot of the products in trade used to be Asian animals. So it used to be, there were rhinos in China, there were tigers in China. And, those populations have been wiped out and now they're switching to rhinos in Africa.
What is the wildlife trade route like? Kill in Africa and then sell in Asia?
Yes, some of these things are routed fairly complex ways to avoid customs and things. So previously a lot of the ivory was going from East Africa to the Middle East to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong to Japan. I mean, sometimes these things fly all over the world. And part of the reason I think Bangkok has a lot of seizures is because it's on a trade hub. And so stuff comes, there's a lot of flights come into Thailand and then go out. So yes, it's mainly a flow in that direction, although we're also doing a campaign in the United States because the United States also has some consumption as well. It's a global business, but definitely the most alarming trends are those going from Africa to Asia, partly because of the way the Asian economies have boomed in recent years.
Who are usually the buyers? I mean, in Thailand and in other countries as well in general. Older generation and rich, of course. Is that who they are?
I would say, if I was going to profile this, I would say older generation and, what we call nouveau riche. Not necessarily people that have been, someone has said to me in China, it's not the really rich guys that buy the shark fin soup. It's the people that want to be rich or are just become rich because they want to show off that they can afford it. So
it's a social status statement.
It's a status thing. It's a saying, I can afford this. And it's much like anyone would buy a very expensive watch or, a flashy car.
There are plenty of ways to impress a beautiful woman. Buying her shark fin soup just isn't one of them. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
ช่วงหน้าไปดูกันว่าการร่วมรณรงค์แคมเปญหยุดซื้อคือหยุดฆ่าของเหล่าคนดังระดับโลกช่วยยุติการฆ่าสัตว์ป่าเพื่อการค้าได้อย่างไร
Please, be ivory free. Because when the buying stops, killing can too.
หยุดซื้อคือหยุดฆ่าเป็นสโลแกนหลักที่ WildAid ใช้ในการรณรงค์เพื่อโน้มน้าวให้คนเลิกซื้อผลิตภัณฑ์จากสัตว์ที่ใกล้สูญพันธุ์ด้วยแนวคิดที่ว่าหากความต้องการผลิตภัณฑ์จากสัตว์ป่าหมดลงก็จะช่วยหยุดการล่าสัตว์ป่าได้
And your weapon to fight illegal wildlife trade is sharp campaigning.
Well, yes. Traditional conservation is scientists studying its laws and maybe customs catching people. And I originally was trained as an economist. And what my economics tells me is that if you just try and restrict the supply and you don't affect the demand, you're just going to push the price up. So we have to basically educate people not to want these products. And the way we've gone about that is very much how, a company would try and sell you a product. We've used very sophisticated advertising. We've used endorsement from some of the top icons in the world, people like, from Jackie Chan to Prince William to David Beckham. All these people that advertisers would love to have in their camp, we've used them to get over the message, please don't buy wildlife products.
As a father, I want our children to know that rhinos are not just a picture in a book.
As a father, I want our children to be able to swim with sharks, not just eat them in a soup.
As a father, I want our children to be able to see elephants in the wild.
For future generations, let's not trade these animals into extinction.
Please ask your friends and relatives to never buy rhino horn, ivory, or shark fin. When the buying stops,
the killing can too.
How did you come up with the campaign message? When the buying stops, the killing can too.
I was working as an undercover investigator, so I was doing things like hidden cameras, filming people selling these things illegally, and I did a lot of work in Asia. What I realized is that the people buying the products, they said, well, the elephants died and someone picks up the tusk, and that's what they believed was happening. They believed these were natural byproducts of the animals dying. I said, well, actually, not only are the animals being killed, but the rangers protecting them are being killed, and the people poaching them are being killed. The last few years, there's been 300 people shot in South Africa over the rhino horn trade. So there's human cost as well as the animals. And people just didn't get that. They didn't know that. So what we wanted to do is to link the consumption with the actual killing.
Does it work?
It worked very well in that time period I described. We got the rhinos going back again. We got the elephants going back again. Then they legalized the trade again. We've got to start again. But in 2011, I think was probably the peak year for elephant poaching in Africa. We started our campaign there. We took the basketball player Yao Ming to Africa, and we went and filmed with him. He stood next to poached elephants and things like that. And we took that film back to China. We did a massive billboard and public service announcement campaign with the full backing of the Chinese government. Within 2 years, there was a 50% increase of the people that are aware of elephant poaching. In the last 18 months, the price of ivory has dropped by 50%. And now the poaching is starting to go down.
You don't have to play ball to be a great shot blocker. Never buy illegal wildlife products, and we can save our endangered animals.
When the buying stops, the killing can too.
How do you get celebrities on board?
No actual formula. The first celebrity that we got involved was Jackie Chan, and that was back in 1995.
Why him?
Well, in 1995, I asked my Taiwanese colleague, who is the most well-known person across Asia? And she said, Jackie Chan, very quickly. And so I wrote him a letter, and I thought, well, he's never going to reply to me. But within a day, he replied to me. And I got this letter back, and it said, well, Jackie is in South Africa. If you can come and see him, he's really interested. And so I jumped on a plane, went to South Africa, and met Jackie, explained all the problems and things. And he said, well, no, this is terrible. I need to help. And then he said, but how did you know that the day you sent your letter, I was filming with elephants and rhinos? And I said, Jackie, I know. He said, it's supposed to be top secret. I'm doing a film. I said, I didn't know, but it means it's supposed to happen. This is fate. Fate has ensured this. So he was the first. He was great. He still worked with him last year.
If you're buying rhino horn, you may be paying for more than just horn. You're paying for guns, bullets, poison arrows, chainsaws, axes, and machetes to hack off the face of the rhino. And you are paying for the life of a beautiful creature. So please tell your friends and relatives, never buy products made from rhino horn. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
And once he'd come on board, a lot of other people wanted to come on board. And, we now have over 120 celebrities from all over the world that have supported the campaigns.
When the buying stops,
When the buying stops,
When the buying stops,
the killing can too.
Your campaign became very successful about shark fin demand reduction in China as well. How did that work out?
Yes, when we started the campaign in China, a lot of people didn't even know that shark fin soup came from sharks because the Mandarin is fish wing soup. It doesn't mention sharks. And so we were starting off from a very low awareness level. But Yao Ming again championed this campaign for us. We also had a lot of Olympic athletes around the 2008 Beijing Olympics. And we did another massive awareness campaign with maybe 20 or 30 celebrities and athletes, putting out the message about shark fin, showing people that, quite often when they catch the sharks, they'll cut the fin off and throw the live animal away, which is very horrific. And people still to this day
And
say,
they die, right?
They die. So basically the shark will drown. It'll go to the bottom of the ocean, it'll drown if it doesn't bleed to death. Not only is this, horrendously wasteful, but it's obviously very cruel. And people just had no idea. And when they understood that that was it, people say to me, I have that image in my head of that shark. I can't eat shark fin soup anymore. The government backed it, and the Chinese government banned shark fin from state banquets. And there's been a 50 to 70% decline in shark fin consumption in China, which is very positive. That's tens of millions of sharks.
What if you could see how shark fin soup is made? If you could see how each year up to 70 million sharks are killed to end up in soup, could you still eat it? A third of all shark species are nearly extinct, but we can help save them.
remember, when the buying stops, the killing can too.
ที่ผ่านมา WildAid ได้เปิดตัวแคมเปญ Ivory Free หรือหยุดซื้องาช้างในจีนและฮ่องกงซึ่งได้รับการตอบรับเป็นอย่างดีและในฐานะที่ประเทศไทยเองอยู่ในเส้นทางการค้างาช้างในเดือนมิถุนายนที่จะถึงนี้ WildAid ร่วมกับ WWF ประเทศไทยเตรียมเปิดตัวแคมเปญ Ivory Free ด้วยเช่นกันโดยมีจาพนมเป็นทูตในการรณรงค์ครั้งนี้
สนใจงานแกะสลักใช่ไหมเท่าไหร่เดี๋ยวผมให้ราคาพิเศษเลย
ทำอะไรเมื่อคุณซื้องาช้างก็เท่ากับคุณจ้างพวกเขาฆ่าช้างโปรดอย่าซื้องาช้างหยุดซื้อคือหยุดฆ่า
Where is Thailand on this map?
Thailand has made tremendous. I first came to Thailand, I think, in 1993, working on this stuff, and at that time there wasn't much awareness. There's been an awful lot more awareness. The government has done a lot of good things here in Thailand. Where our concern is now with Thailand is the ivory trade, because as we look at the ivory trade, the history of the ivory trade is that we had a legal trade, and the illegal trade was laundered through the legal trade. So in the 70s and 80s. There was a legal ivory trade where people had paperwork and permits, and it was all supposed to be strictly regulated so that it didn't damage elephants. During that time period, 750,000 elephants disappeared from Africa through the legal trade, through a legal mechanism. So what we just find is that a legal trade enables illegal activity underneath it. Now, many countries now, for example, China, Hong Kong, and the United States have all announced they'll be banning all sales of ivory. Thailand is still selling ivory. And in fact, they had a registration recently. There was 200 tons of ivory in Thailand. And we're seeing quite a lot of seizures going through Thailand. And some of those are destined to other countries, but some of them are destined here. So there's still a fairly vibrant ivory market in Thailand.
What other products are in demand in Thailand?
Well, there is some demand for shark fin. It's sometimes hard to tell whether it's for tourists or whether it's for domestic, but shark fin is definitely something of issues. There's been a number of seizures over the years of things like tigers used for tiger paw and also for tiger bone wine and things like that. There's some market in snakes and snake wine and things like that. So pangolins, to a degree, people are eating pangolins. They're using pangolin scales are actually the same as, again, as fingernails. Keratin is a basic building block. Pangolin scales are used, and pangolins are getting hammered right now. They estimated that 1 million pangolins have been traded illegally.
Have you ever been threatened for your life for doing this?
I've had, particularly when I was doing the investigations, yeah, we've had a few threats and things, but you know, I think anybody that's a cop will also tell you they get threatened all the time. There's some pretty nasty people involved in this business for sure. There's organized crime involved. You know, when you buy this, who are you paying? You're paying criminals, basically. You're paying for corruption. You're paying sometimes organized gangs, and you're sometimes paying for the killing of human beings. Because as I said, there's 300 people in Kruger National Park have been shot over the rhinos. So that's really our message: is when you buy into these products, think about what the chain of events you've set in action.
If you buy elephant ivory, you may be part of a criminal gang. A gang of ruthless killers. A gang of smugglers. And corrupt officials. And because you're paying them, that makes you the boss. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
As Executive Director of WildAid, what is your ultimate goal?
To make myself redundant, to not have to work anymore, to take photos of animals instead of having to do this. And, you know, I think it's my other goal is just to, you know, to knock off things so that, you know, maybe I think in a year or so, maybe the elephant situation isn't so bad, so I can move more to the rhinos and just try and knock them off one by one if we can.
How can we all join your fight?
Well, you can join us on the website, you can sign on to the social media campaigns, and I think a lot of it is word of mouth. So, you know, what we found with the shark fin was that a lot of the reactions we got from the older generation was because the younger generation had challenged them. So I had one shark fin dealer who said, "Oh, my kids told me I mustn't eat shark fin soup anymore," and he said, "So I've stopped eating it." I mean, this is a guy selling it and he stopped eating it. So I think young people shouldn't underestimate their potential to influence older people, especially if you can do it in a non-confrontational way about, did you know all this? And the big point to me is it's the children's animals that we know. They'll be around while we're here. It's our children that won't have them. So we're basically stealing from our children if we destroy these animals.
แม้ว่าปัญหาการค้าสัตว์ป่าฟังดูเป็นปัญหาใหญ่ไกลตัวแต่จริงๆแล้วเราทุกคนสามารถช่วยได้ค่ะนั่นก็คือการหยุดซื้อผลิตภัณฑ์จากสัตว์ป่าทุกชนิดและช่วยกันส่งต่อข้อมูลการรณรงค์เพื่อทำให้เกิดความเข้าใจในวงกว้างมากยิ่งขึ้นเพียงเท่านี้เราทุกคนก็สามารถช่วยกันหยุดซื้อเพื่อหยุดฆ่าสัตว์ป่าได้แล้วค่ะพบกับรายการมองเรามองโลกในวันและเวลาออกอากาศใหม่เริ่มต้นสัปดาห์หน้าเราจะเจอกันทุกวันเสาร์เวลา 18:20 น.ทางเนชั่นทีวีแห่งนี้นะคะแล้วพบกันวันเสาร์หน้าวันนี้สวัสดีค่ะ